where you had to defy the odds in your life, what were those odds and how did you handle it?
Do any of you want to start? Well, for me, I think that my entire existence was defying the odds. When my mother found out that she was pregnant with me, she wanted to get an abortion. So for me, growing up and knowing that your mother initially didn't want you, that kind of lingers with you. But fortunately, I was adopted by a great woman. And when I was adopted, I still had trials. I remember my mother, she had heart surgery, and I remember seeing her so sick, and it looked like she was almost close to dying, and us losing an income and having no money to just have basic needs. And I feel like those were odds that I had to defy. But as with anything, you'll go through trials and tribulations in life, but it's important to know that you can overcome them no matter what happens. You have to be the positive person. You have to be the light, and you can truly shine and overcome whatever's going on.
Okay. Well, similar to you, my mom did tell me before that she was going to have an abortion with me, but she never did. And I'm here, a wonderful person. But going to the school that I go to, which is School Without Walls, there are multiple cultures in my school. Well, white, black, Asian. We have a lot of foreign exchange students. So a lot of the times, African Americans, although we are majority of the people in the school, a lot of times we get looked down upon as if we don't speak with correct grammar or we won't put in as much work as everyone else. So, like overall, my period in school, well, in high school, I've had to challenge the stereotype that African Americans won't do everything that they need to do, and I've defied that odd and did everything that I need to do up to this point. So,
yeah. Actually, going off of what Ayanna said, I was going to talk about something else, but something defying odd in high school, especially at Gonzaga. You all know that it's the majority of the school is white. And so it's sometimes intimidating and hard to be in an environment like that when you're one of very few black people, especially black young men trying to compete and stay in the same type of league as your peers. So I think that was something that I don't want to say shook me, but when I came into the school, I wasn't as comfortable. And over the years, I've created a sort of comfort group with, not only black students, but white ones as well. But it took me a little while to feel comfortable in that type of environment and be able to work and I guess feel like I was wanted in my own school.
sir.
I want you guys to talk. I don't want to interject in the conversation.
Well, triggering back on what they both said, I feel like as an African American, automatically it seems as though the odds are automatically stacked against you, and it's so important to challenge what people tell you, to not sink into what people tell you. And I graduated from a prestigious private school, and I remember sometimes it feels like you have to work twice as hard as other people just so you can be recognized as equal. But I feel like that you don't have to let your skin color, or just because you're black, you don't have to let that hold you back, because no matter what you are, as long as you work hard and you're driven, you can succeed.
And another thing, do you want to say anything? No, okay. And another thing with that is never allow anyone to tell you that because you're African American, or because you're this race, because you're that you can succeed and do whatever you want to do. Because as long as you have the intelligence and you have the people or the kids around you to get to where you want to be, then you'll eventually get there.
So you threw it out there, so I'll interject. I realize as the three of you all are sitting up there that each of you attended a prestigious school. How important do you think that is? Because I'm looking at this balance. We have three people who have gone to schools that are extremely high ranking, and there are some that are in the audience that have done that as well. But these are public school and charter school, public school and charter school, with one exception. How important is it, do you think, your being able to go to those schools in terms of you being successful? Would you have been as successful without that type of a educational opportunity?
Well, private school was very important to me. I was actually a product of public school for my whole entire life until my sophomore year, and I looked around and I noticed that my surroundings weren't the best. I remember people getting in fights in hallways, would get pepper sprayed, and it would be hard to get to class, or people would be leaving to go smoke weed, and I saw girls that were pregnant, and I was just tired of that. But not only was it the students around me, it seemed like my teachers were so lackluster in what they were teaching me. Like they didn't care about what they were teaching me, or they weren't as passionate as they should. So if the teachers aren't passionate and the students aren't passionate, I feel like it's not a good learning environment. So I actually wrote a private school in the area that I had heard so much about. So I wrote them and I told them that I would really like to be a member of your school, and I know I don't have enough money. I come from a single parent household and my mom is on disability, but I still think it's imperative for me to get a great education. So I wrote them and I got accepted with a full ride scholarship, and basically they were fundamental in helping me get on the college bound track. I was prepared for post-secondary education, and now as a freshman in college I can truly say that the skills that I learned there were paramount to my success.
I agree with Kiana. I think here in this country we have a huge gap between where we are and where we need to be. So, around the country, public schools, especially those that have a majority of African American students, Latino students, Hispanic, minorities, are lacking, are really lacking. And when you compare those to private schools, they really can't be compared. Even here in DC, there are schools that prepare you from day one to know what you're going to be doing in college, what you're going to be studying. By the time you're a senior, you know what you're going to be doing, and in other schools, you don't know until your senior year. So I think I think that's one thing that we should be focusing on as a country, strengthening our education system, especially for minorities like African Americans. Without it, you can't do anything without an education, and it's so imperative that we start taking this seriously on both ends of the spectrum. So students, parents, teachers, as well as legislators that put in money for it. So.
Well, I agree with Ryan on the aspect that the education system needs to be better, but I think it's also up to the parents too, because I went to a public school for elementary. I went to public school, all elementary, then I went to charter, and now I'm back in public, even though my public school isn't like a public school. But still, I think it's up to the parents to actually put that into you, to say, you're going to be something in life. You're going to be something greater than me, or greater than this person, or greater than that person. And I think that going to School Without Walls, it actually does help a lot, because you get to see other types of people, you get to see other cultures, and it helps you to see more than what you're just around every day. It helps you to see just outside of, not just Southeast, but outside of DC, because we do have a lot of exchange students from like Egypt and Spain and other places like that. So I think it's good for me to go to that school, but I don't think necessarily it will shape my success.
How did you all separate yourselves from those that were in your community, be it family, friends, or in your physical community, who did not want to make the choices that you made? How did you separate yourself from those? Or did you have to? Was everybody around you like, yep, let's go, let's be excited, let's be achievers, let's be successful? Or were there people around you who you had to separate yourself from because they didn't want to make the choices that you made? And if so, how'd you do that?
For me, I feel like I've been doing that for my whole life, and not separating yourself in a way that you're more arrogant or you think you're better than everyone. But sometimes in order for you to succeed, it's important that you separate yourself from the crowd. You can't do what everyone else is doing. You can't be like what everyone else is doing. So when people are making bad choices, you have to know that this is what I want to be. I want to do this when I grow up. This is the track of greatness that I'm trying to pursue. So I can't let you hold me back. It's kind of like you're climbing up this ladder and you want to bring people up with you, but some people are like pulling you down, and you don't want that. So you want to succeed by all means, but I still think it's important to tell others about succeeding, but not everyone is going to be proud of you. And I think that's one of the most important issues, that you can always want to be great and you can always want to pursue your goals and your dreams, but not everyone is going to be supportive of you. So you need to surround yourself with people who are like-minded like you, who want you to succeed and want success for themselves as well.
Yeah, and one quote that a lot of people have told me is, if you're the smartest person in your group of friends, then that isn't your right group of friends. And that makes a lot of sense, because you wouldn't want to be around people that can't think on the same level as you, basically. And yes, along the span of my life, yes, you do have to be selfish with your education. Yes, you do have to be selfish with your possibilities, because if your friends are not going to take you where you need to be, 10 years from now, will they still be there? Probably not. So you have to be selfish and get to where you need to be and not worry about everyone else. You can take them along, you can encourage them to be where you want to be and be successful, but you have to make sure you get there first, because you can't take care of anyone else before you take care of yourself.
I definitely agree. I think peer pressure is something that's going to happen no matter how old you are or how young you are. I'm sure it happens to everyone in this room still, but it's something that knowing what you want to do, knowing your goals, knowing where you want to be is very important, and knowing who you surround yourself is also equally important. So I remember in middle school there was, I went to a middle school in Northwest where there were a lot of like smokers and like just kids who just were not doing the right things. And one of my best friends, he didn't smoke in middle school, but he started on the track. And when we graduated, we both went to high school. He ended up dropping out. You know, he's doing drugs, like not doing the right stuff right now. And it was a decision I had to make to separate myself from that, because number one, he wasn't a good influence. Number two, you know, compromise didn't work with him, so he obviously wanted to go in a completely different direction than I did, and I had to understand that, and I had to make it clear that, you know, we're on two different fields, and so I think that's really important to know what you want and who's going to help you get there.
So, other question. This will be my last question. I'm going to let Tyrese ask the next one. How much have you been your own obstacle in your own success? How much have you had to battle yourself, to push yourself, to get over whatever issues, proclivities, problems within yourself, not external, internal? How much of an enemy have you been to your own success, and how do you deal with it? How do you process it? How do you fight yourself to better yourself? And then Tyrese has the next question.
Well, okay. So a lot of the times I do push myself really, really hard to do any and everything I want to do, because I want to be the best, and I will be the best at any and everything that I do. So, so all the time I honestly push myself more than my family members do, and I think that that's important for me, because I know where I want to go. And all of my life it's been, Ayanna has to do what she needs to do in order to get somewhere, because I don't want to be left behind, and I don't want to have to depend on other people to push me along. So I've always been internally you have to do this, and sometimes I do stop myself from doing things that I should do that will help me, but I'll eventually come back to it. I'll have a peace of mind, I guess, and come back to it. So I've always been an internal enemy, but I think it's good, not bad.
I also agree. I feel like I've always been the person in my life to push myself, and I know what I want to achieve, and I know the goals that I have. So I've always been that person to take it to the next level. And sometimes I think that a biggest thing that we all have to overcome is our fears. Our fears can be our worst enemy because sometimes you doubt yourself, and I think that it's important to know that with everything that you do, that you have the power to do that. So you can't be scared to take the next opportunity. And sometimes it seems as if though it can be a jump, or maybe it seems too frightening, or you don't want to take that leap yet. But I've learned that sometimes it's like being on a cliff. Sometimes you just have to go over it, and you have to jump, and you have to do it and make that move. So I've always been the person for myself because I know that my mother is a great woman, and I love my Boys and Girls Club family, and I love everyone that's surrounded by me, but I can't always depend on those people to tell me what I need to do for my life because it's not their life, it's my life. So if I know what I want to achieve and if I know what I need to do, then I need to do that for myself, and I need to make it happen for myself.
Like them, I push myself to do some things, but on the other hand, I'm a huge procrastinator, which I think has been my downfall Thank you for that. Which has been my downfall for the, last 7 years. So, I'll do things that I want to do, and I'll push myself to do those things. But things that I don't want to do, like sometimes schoolwork, taking out the trash, washing the dishes, I'll, let it slide, and I'll procrastinate. And some of those cause little problems, but a lot of those cause big problems. So I guess it's living and learning, learning from your mistakes, and that's what I am doing now. Looking back on my last 4 years in high school, I'm saying, I could have done this, or I could have done that. I wish I would have did this. I wish I wouldn't have dragged my feet with that. So I just, I'm hoping that I can have a fresh start in college, but you do live and you learn. So you try to improve and make things better as you move along.
I think that we should open up the floor to you all, and you all should have questions, and you all should get in the conversation so we could open up to everyone.
So this is either a question or a statement. And when we talked about what you've heard, how you're defining your own odds, Tariq, you start.
Come on.
Yes, I'm on.
Y'all take me seriously. What are some challenges that y'all face? That y'all thought that would bring out that y'all thought? Did y'all answer that question? Did somebody say that?
I feel like we kind of did.
So I guess we can cover it again.
Nah, I mean, y'all don't have to.
It's a challenge that you face, how much that you overcame.
There's a reason that
It was the odds that they faced coming in. That was the first question that they answered. Huh?
Yes. Okay, so honestly, no, listen. Honestly, my mom just talked to me the other night about someone who got a full ride scholarship to GW. And honestly, if you work hard enough and you get the grades that you need to, and you get enough programs to get where you want to go, you could get far. It doesn't matter what high school you go to, honestly. I'm just saying.
But some schools look at that though.
Yeah,
like look at what schools you're going to, and most public schools are, they don't, like, their teaching system doesn't really care for the students.
Yeah.
Basically, like no homework and
But
just let the kids do
You have to
whatever.
make it known that you want to get far. Yes.
My school came out with me.
What if teachers don't know what they be teaching,
But they are teaching.
but they are teaching? Okay. And you gotta try to teach yourself how to do.
So that happened to me when I was in high school, and that's part of the reason I really wanted to go to private school. But as with anything, I think it's important for you, if your teacher is not doing what they have to do, you have to be the person to speak up, and you have to be an advocate for yourself and an advocate for your education. So no matter what happens, I think it's important, whatever you feel like, you have to voice those concerns with your teacher and voice it with anyone that will listen, your parents, your principals, staff at the school. It's just important to voice what's happening.
But you're the only person with your hand up.
What boys you gonna club y'all two from?
Brian's from here.
That's how you don't come to
Okay, all right.
the shade.
That's
That's
it.
your brother?
Well, you can tell where you're from.
Well, I'm from the Boys and Girls Clubs of South Central Kansas. I was raised in Wichita, Kansas, so that's where my club is. I'm just a freshman at Howard
Wichita
University,
State.
and I'm the National Youth of the Year, so I'm here.
Nene.
He's not getting in the house.
Respect.
Oh, cool.
Okay, what person do you think influenced you the most to
Nene.
Huh?
Nene.
But like, what person pushes you? Like, even I know you said you yourself don't want to do it, but like, what person stood by your side, like, told you, like, motivated you like that?
I would say my mom, other than myself, my mom really pushed me a lot. I don't know, a lot of parents want their child to succeed in life. I think most of your parents want you to succeed. So I think in a lot of situations you have parents that push you and try to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. That's what my mom did, and she's been doing it for a long time. I may not listen all the time, but she's definitely been a big influence.
I agree. For me, it was my mom also, and I've surrounded myself with great women. Like, I think it's very important to have mentors, no matter what age you are, no matter what level you are in your life. It's important to have great people that'll root for you and people that can introduce you to the next opportunity, because you can't always expose yourself to things because you don't know what's happening, but you need to surround yourself with those adults that will be an advocate for you.
Okay.
I have a question.
I didn't say.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so since everyone else said their mom, I'll say the like my mentors in my life. When Mr. Lamar, he influences me a lot, and I come to him with a lot of my problems. And it's not always the best thing that I want to hear. So I guess it's like all the people in my life that don't tell me the things that I want to hear are basically the people that push me the most. So yeah.
So you're bad.
So, no, the people that tell me things that I don't want to hear.
Yeah, that's
So people that don't necessarily agree with me all the
That's what I'm
time.
saying, baby.
Oh, I guess I'm.
No.
Yes,
It's a tough job.
yes, Miss Frank.
Oh, okay. My question is, what would your advice be for? I know you guys are saying surround yourself around people who push you, but for people who don't really know that they're particularly not necessarily in a bad situation, but not the best situation. They don't realize they're not in the best public school, or if they don't have a parent. For example, I'll even use my mom as an example. My mom didn't go to high school, so she couldn't tell me about the high school experience, and she couldn't tell me how to get into college or how important the ACTs and SATs were. And yes, I went to a suburban school, but my teachers didn't reinforce that with me as much as maybe because I was a minority student, as much with me during that time. So what would your advice be to some similar students who their parents are just ignorant to the fact of the college process and how important education is? They might want their kids to succeed, but they don't know how to help them get there. So what would your advice be to you to get mentors or find, people in school that can help them get to the next level that they need to be at?
I think it's important, as always, to take advantage of opportunities. So we're here at the Boys and Girls Club. For me, my Boys and Girls Club was fundamental in introducing me to a plethora of things. Like, I remember they introduced me to private school. They told me about tests. They taught me about financial aid. So wherever you're at in your life right now, I think it's important you just have to know. So if you have someone that's close to you, you just have to open your mouth and speak up. So you have the Boys and Girls Club, so that's a very great outlet. But there are tons of people that want to send minorities to school. There are so many scholarships out there, and I think it's important to, once you know what you want to do in your life and you have an outline of goals, you can do research. And that's what I've always been, a big researcher. So you can just get on Google and type in questions or figure out how can I send myself to college. And there's programs for low-income students, for minorities, and I think that it's very important to go to college. And there's people that want to send you to college, even if you don't know about it. I think just do research and open up your mouth, ask people about it.
Since we're talking about the clubs and how impactful it can be on your lives, what we focus on now is Formula for Impact. I don't know if everyone knows that. But our job is basically to make impact on each and every member that comes to the club every day. How impactful has the club been, and where do you think you would be without the club?
I was thinking.
Good question. What was the end of that question? Sorry.
I said, how impactful has the club been, and where do you think you would be without the club?
Okay, so without the club, I would be home right now. But it's impacted it has a big impact on my life because I did my first community service project with the Boys and Girls Club with when Miss Libby was here. I did my first community service project with them. So I think that the club introduces me to a lot of things and gives me a lot of opportunities. Like without programs like D2D, I wouldn't have learned how to build a resume because my mom probably wouldn't have told me. I probably would have had to get on Google or go to my counselor, which they really don't help that much. So, and figure out things like that. But I think that the club gives me a place and a family, a second family and another place to call home. So I guess, it has impacted me a lot and made me a wonderful person, more wonderful than I was before I came.
I was a member of the Boys and Girls Clubs for 13 years, so I started at the age of 5. So they were a part of my life throughout everything, no matter what situation I went through, whether it was at home or whether it was school or just socially, academically, anything. The Boys and Girls Club was a part of that, and I'm matriculated through basically every program that you can go through as a member, I was involved in. So the Boys and Girls Club taught me everything. I learned moral character from the Boys and Girls Club. I learned I got help with my academics when I was struggling in chemistry or physics. I was involved in Keystone and Smart Girls and character and leadership building programs. So I learned so much, and now as the spokesperson for the 4 million youth, I feel like I've been exposed to so many opportunities that would have not came without the Boys and Girls Club. And locally at my club, I got so much help. But now, as I serve on a national level, I'm meeting the president and meeting Condoleezza Rice and meeting so many influential people in our society and throughout the world. I don't know where I would have been without the Boys and Girls Club, but I know certainly I wouldn't have been exposed to so many opportunities, and I would have just been a struggling kid.
I definitely agree with Kiana. I think the best thing about the Boys and Girls Club is your exposure to different programs. Like when I first came here, I was in the Torch Club was the first club that I joined, and I came every day after school. We did community service projects. You have the community aspect of it. We did educational programs, and so programs like Torch Club, Keystone, D2D. Money Matters, they expose us to different things that we probably won't get outside of these club doors. So financial training, educational preparation, community service work, these are things that definitely have impacts on all three of us and all of you. I'm sure we would be different people if we didn't participate in these programs or didn't have that type of experience before. So Boys and Girls Club does a great job with that.
Any more questions? mom is concerned.
What do you want to major in when you get to school, and since you don't like school, what are you majoring?
Oh, I'm not starting? Oh, well, I want to major in psychology and then move on to law because I want to do child advocacy when I get older. So, yeah.
What's the
I have no idea at this point. Honestly, I thought I knew, but now I don't know.
What school did you want to go to? What school did you want to go to?
Michigan.
Queen Ashley.
Right now, I'm a public relations major, but I too would like to go to law school. And right now, I'm aiming for like going to an Ivy League or going to Georgetown. And then I would like to combine politics with public relations and with the legal system because those are all of my interests, and I would like to combine them. But before I do that, I would like to be a prosecutor for a few years just to learn the litigation skills that I need and to still actively make a difference in my community and the justice system. The judicial system, sorry.
Yeah, so I want to major in political science, and yeah, maybe probably going to public service. Not sure yet, but we'll see.
What school do you want to go to?
I don't know. It's between the American University of Paris and High Point University.
Paris?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Tyrese, we can hear you.
All right, so is there we have time for one more question from someone who is not asked a question? Someone, you raise your hand.
Yes.
Oh, are you going up? You were just there, right? How has your family influenced you? How has your family influenced you to be a better person and like drive something, like drive to improve your life?
Well, I'll start off with all of my life until I got to high school, it was always me making sure I did a good job and me getting A's and P's, me getting honor roll. My parents never pushed me to get honor roll because I was always getting it. So it didn't really matter to them until I got to high school. That's when everyone wanted to get in my life and make sure I was doing well because I guess these were the times where it was cracking down and I was about to get old. So yeah, it was. They really didn't influence me or help me that much. It's mostly like the mentors and things that I had around me. So I won't say that they weren't influencing me to do better, but they weren't that big of an influence on me. So if that helps.
My mom has been fundamental to my success. I really appreciate her. She adopted me, and since she adopted me, she's been great in helping me achieve my goals and pushing me further. And I can say that I was adopted, and usually when you get adopted into a family, on TV you see like celebrities adopting people, and it seems as though they have the perfect circumstances. But for me, that wasn't the case. So I was adopted by a wonderful mother, but her family wasn't necessarily supportive of me. So I didn't really have like those cousins or those aunts that I could really depend on, but I knew I could depend on my mom, and she was crucial into me being successful. She's a great woman and an awesome role model, and if I could become half of the woman that she is, then I would be great in life. She's had a significant impact on my life.
I would have to say the same. My mom has been
We'll put sibling love to the side.
yeah, she's been a true supporter, and I don't think that I would be doing. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. And half the stuff I do, although like Ayanna and Kiana, we push ourselves to do things. Sometimes we need that extra nudge, or that that kind of voice in the back of our head telling us to do this and do that. And that's been the case for a while. So I'm very appreciative of her.
I was gonna say I'll go ahead and put question. I didn't know. I'm not sure if Kiana stepped away for a moment. You had siblings, or if it's just you.
I'm the only child.
Only children. So I'm gonna push that question, particularly to the one on the left and the one on the right, because I know that they both have siblings, all of whom are members of the club. And since they so politically correctly went around the heart of that question, I'm gonna go ahead and push it. Since we originally were supposed to have a debate, should get rid of contingency. What role do your siblings play in your success, or your lack of, or pushing you, or encouraging you, or even being a reason for you to do better?
I'll start off. Okay, so I think that I've always wanted to do better for myself, but it seems a lot of the time it seems though, since I've always gotten honor roll, my parents are used to it. It's like when my family members get honor roll or something, it's like, oh yeah, let's have a party, and that annoys me a lot. But I still want to do better and get my stuff together. But my oldest sister, she's 20 now, and she's a big influence on my life because I think that I want to strive better than her, of course, because she's older than me, and of course I want to do better than the oldest. But still, she encourages me to do a lot with my life and be better and not be confused in what I want to do. So I think that whole thing influences me a lot.
I would say I'm glad that all of my siblings got to be at the Boys and Girls Club and come here at the same time I did. I don't think that there was ever a time when we didn't support each other. I think as you get older, it becomes frustrating for certain reasons. I don't want to say struggled. I just haven't. Yeah, I haven't put that much effort out academically, and having when you get to senior year and your sister has a 4.2 GPA, it doesn't make you upset, but you get a little jealous. But I mean, I think in situations like that, it can be beneficial. So when my mom told me, I was like, okay, that means I need to step my game up because I don't want to hear anything from Shanae. I don't want her talking to me about her grades. But I mean, that encourages you to do better, and I think that's a great support system that a lot of families can have. When siblings are doing something, they can support each other and try to help each other and build each other up. And that's what I hope to do with Jemiah and Rashida and Shanae and Josiah. So.
Does anybody else have any other?
Oh yeah.
Please let him go because he over here mumbling and
T
stuff.
has a question.
Alright, so our last question will go to Young Terrence, and then we'll just go to differentiate young and old, and then we'll go to our panel for a closing.
Young African American.
What's funny?
Be quiet, let me be good.
Please.
Last question.
As young African Americans, what routes and activities and groups did y'all join to become at the level y'all at that?
Well, I haven't really done that many programs outside of Boys and Girls Club. I guess it's just the type of person I am and the type of person I was raised to be. I was always raised and taught to do what you need to do and be determined to get where you need to go. And I guess you can say that. Oh man. I guess you could also. Are you looking for something to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Don't man me. Just always be open to anything that someone offers you. Even if you don't want to do it, even if you think that you're not going to be interested in it, just join it and get the feel of it before you shoot it down, basically. So.
Well, I was involved, like I said, in every Boys and Girls Club program, but outside and within the community, I think that it's very important to give back, but also giving back and getting to know your community members, that's a good networking opportunity. So I was involved in Mayor's Youth Council, and I sat on boards of nonprofit organizations. So I would be the 16-year-old sitting on a board with like 40 and 50-year-olds who have their life together, who are CEOs of companies and things of that nature. And I was involved in NAACP, which is also, if you want to know about yourself and your culture, I do recommend that. It really helped me learn what it is to be a black woman in America. But I think it's important to engage in things that are non-contentious and non-political and things that can unite everyone. I was involved in different things that United Way did, and I just think it's important to give back to your community. And those look good on your resume, so it's a win-win. You get to help, but you also, I think it's very important to build up your resume and show what you have done, and you get recognized for that and supported.
Yeah. Other than Boys and Girls, I did a few things outside of the Boys and Girls Club. I would say the most important, you mentioned African American, I would say expanding your horizon. Being here in the district, we are one of the most diverse cities in the country. So you have Africans, you have African Americans, you have Caucasians, you have Latinos, Hispanics, Ethiopians, and just so many different ethnicities, races, cultures that are here. I would say take the time to immerse yourself in a different culture. You know, I was on the DC Youth Advisory Council, so it was really diverse, and I got to see people, you know, just I don't know, network with people that weren't from Southeast, who were from all over the city, who I could learn from and work with, and I think that's important, being in diverse environments, and that could be a really helpful tool, not only while you're in high school here, but in college, because that's probably going to be the case unless you go to like an HBCU. Not saying that there's anything wrong with an HBCU, but if you don't go to an HBCU, you're probably going to be in a diverse environment, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with other people, and really how to work with other people who aren't from the same background as you. So I would really take advantage of that.
Can I chime in now? Okay, so I'm from Kansas, so I'm not from a big city like this, so I don't see, like, this was I've never seen like Ethiopians and so many different types of cultures. So I wanted to come to DC because I knew that this was a diverse environment. And then when I chose to go to an HBCU just so I can learn about my culture. And there's people always think that, you know, there's not a lot of culture at HBCUs, but you meet so many different types of black people that I would have never been exposed to. I've met black people from Germany and from Indonesia and from Paris and from Africa, different parts of Africa, and from the Caribbean islands. And I just think that it's important, but being just black in America, period, I don't think that that should always be what we're focused on, because we know we're black and we can be proud of who we are, but it's important to expand your horizons because we're all living in this country, and it's important to get to know people and be culturally aware and diverse.
Final thoughts on Define the Odds. Ayanna.
Yes.
Final thoughts.
Final thought. Do what you need to do to get where you want to be. This quote was endorsed by Ayanna.
No, we're not. They gotta.
I think that it's important just to know what you want to do in life, and don't let anyone bring you down, because no matter what happens, there'll always be trials and tribulations and obstacles. And I like to think of life as a mountaintop, so I like to think of my life as me trying to get to this top of the mountain, and you might stumble, you might fall, you might trip over some rocks, and it might be hard to get back up, but you have to get back up. And everything that you go through, those stumbles and those trips and those falls, when you get up and when you make it to that top of the mountain, the reward will be that much sweeter, because you know that it took some tears to get there, it took some pain, and it took some struggles, but you made it. And that's what I think of life as, getting to that mountaintop view where you can be happy with who you are, and you don't let anything hold hold you back, because those obstacles and trials, they make you stronger, and you don't want everything in life just to be handed to you so easily. You want to work for it and to know that you really put effort into this. So I think just never let anything hold you back, and you have to be your biggest supporter. No matter what anyone else tells you, it's important to believe it within you and speak things into existence. I'm a big believer of faith, and just knowing that if I want something, I'm going to speak it into existence and I'm going to claim it, and it will happen.
Yeah. So just piggybacking off of what they said, there is this concept coined by Thomas Jefferson. It's called tabula rasa. It's the idea that you are that you don't have to be a product of your environment, and I know, the odds sometimes may be against you, but just because you are black, just because you do live in a impoverished neighborhood, you might go to an impoverished school, that doesn't mean you can't be successful in life. And so many influential people in this country, including the president, and a lot of entertainers and athletes, really focused on what they could do and what they can make happen versus what was holding them back in their environments. So that's something definitely to consider.
All right, let's give a round of applause to our panel.